Hello, this is Jim Wilson with AgGateway. In this fourth video in the Click series, you'll learn about how to produce Excel-based documentation, and then we'll walk through the Excel file. So here on the screen we have Click. First thing we want to do is select a context. In this case we'll choose USA Feed. Then we want to do a search for ship notice. Select it in the results, and then click on the ship notice node in the tree, and then right-click and choose Create Excel Documentation from the context menu. We're immediately presented with a message informing us that a file is being created in the background and will be saved on the desktop. And if we go to the desktop, you can see the file isn't present yet, and there it is. So before we open the file, there's a couple things to note about the file name. It starts with the name of the element that we right-clicked on, in this case ship notice. Then it's followed by a date timestamp, and then finally by the extension XLSM, which indicates a macro-enabled Excel file. And more on that here when we open it. So let's double-click on it, open it. And the first thing we need to note is that at the top we have a security warning that tells us macros have been disabled. And we want to click on Enable Content. We'll see why here in a minute. The next thing to note is the contents here on this File Info worksheet or tab. So it has the date the file was produced, the time, what standard is being documented, what its version is. You can see there it includes the context for the contextual notes, which in this case is USA and Feed, information about the application itself, and then some license information. Moving on to the Legend worksheet, we can see that content that is in bold means that it's required, not bold means it's not required, green means it may occur more than once, italic means that it's an attribute, not italic means it's an element. So this should all be very consistent with Click itself. So let's move on. The next worksheet provides a few tips, and we'll just move on because I'm going to demonstrate these. So then we go to the schema sheet. So the first thing we want to do here is to just double click on ship notice. So we'll just dive right into the demonstration. So we double click on ship notice and note that it reveals the ship notice attributes and child elements, in this case header and ship notice body. So let's walk through and look at the various columns that are available. So we have min-max there in column C. So that tells whether attributes are required or optional, and it tells the occurrence of elements. So min occurrence, ... max occurrence. So in this case, header, one is required and only one is permitted. Same thing with ship notice body. And you'll notice other numbers as we expand other elements. So next is description, and then the data type or code list. All you can see here for now is that version has a fixed value equal to 5.3, and then sample values, notes, and XPath. And there's no content in these for now, but you'll see them as we expand the content. So let's go ahead and drill down to ship notice status. And you can see down there on line 267 that ship notice status is not bold, indicating that it's optional. And that corresponds to column C there, which says that it has a minimum occurrence of 0 and a maximum occurrence of 1. Note that ship notice date right above it on row 264 is required and it is bold. So now I want to demonstrate behavior of Excel. So this isn't so much Click specific or specific to this file. It's just how Excel behaves. It might be useful in terms of how you use the Excel files that are produced. So you can see here in column H for ship notice, which are the notes, that it only contains some of the content. So there's a couple ways to see more of the content. One is just double click on the cell itself. And when you do that, it puts it in edit mode and you can see more of the content all the way down to the context note. We have the context note because you may recall at the beginning we chose USA and feed as the context, and it pulled that information and included it in the notes. Now, my recommendation is just simply to press Escape to go out of edit mode, but you will undoubtedly forget sometime and press Enter. And if you do that, it's no big deal. All you need to do is do Control-Z or click the Undo button on the toolbar. So again, you can double-click to go into edit mode, see the content, escape to go back. Another thing you can do is just pull down on the formula bar to make it bigger. That might be handy if you need to look at a lot of content. So you can see here as I go to different cells, you can see all of the content. But again, for the most part, double-click, escape. So we've seen how double-clicking on a particular element works. Now you'll notice in column A that some elements have 2 plus signs. And what happens when you click on that is it expands all of the descendants, not just the children, but the children's children and the children's children, etc. If we double-click on requested document here, it expands all the descendants. Okay, we can go back and just double-click on requested document again, and it'll collapse it all. And we'll just go up to the top and double-click on ship notice, collapse it back to the initial state. And now we'll double-click on the 2 plus signs to the left of ship notice, and it expands all of the content. And if we go down to the bottom, you'll notice that row 1234 is the last element, and row 1235 is blank. By the way, you can also see that in the Excel documentation, it indicates recursive content, which in this case is shipment packaging. Okay, that wraps it up for the Excel feature. This is a widely used feature. People produce this content. They'll right-click on one of the columns, insert a column, and add their own company notes or notes that are specific to a project, things like that. So I hope this has been helpful. Look forward to providing more content in the 5th video in this series. Thank you.